I think back now in 1981 when we won in Burlington, and I was thinking at that point, one small city could play a role in changing the value system perhaps of this country. Tonight, as I stand before you, I think that maybe one small state might go down in history as being the leading state in the fight for a political revolution which takes power away from the multinationals and the wealthy and gives it back to the people where it belongs. Justice! The only way that real change ever takes place is when millions of people stand up and fight back. We don't need a savior. We need a political movement when millions of people. Am I on? Okay. Hello, everybody. Let me thank Jennifer and Sarah for their fantastic work that they have been doing and for their remarks tonight, and thank all of you for what you are doing and for your help during the primary. Many of you endorsed our campaign, and that gives me a great sense of pride. And the reason for that is that, as you have heard me say many, many times, and what I believe from the bottom of my heart, real change never takes place from the top on down. It's always from the bottom on up. And we are the grassroots of America. And we are and will continue to organize working people, Black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. We will organize all across this country and continue to build the movement that is now really moving very aggressively forward. And let me just talk a little bit about how much we have accomplished together just in the last 4 years. 4 years ago, we were told that it was a radical idea to guarantee health care as a human right through a Medicare for all single-payer system. Nobody was talking about that. Today, a majority of Americans support that concept, that you cannot lose your health insurance because you lose your job. 4 years ago, we were told that it was a radical idea that we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free. Well, all over the country today, we're seeing community colleges becoming tuition-free. Some states are actually making public colleges and universities tuition-free, making huge progress in that area. 4 years ago, we were told that raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, more than doubling the current minimum wage, that's a crazy, crazy idea. Well, all over America, people said that if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. Massive support for $15 an hour. 7 states have already done it. U.S. House of Representatives have done that as well. 4 years ago, it was considered to be a radical and crazy idea to not only legalize marijuana and expunge the criminal records of those with marijuana convictions. That was considered to be a very, very radical idea. And yet now, once again, people are saying, of course, we have to legalize marijuana. Of course, we understand that the African American and Latino community are disproportionately hit by this awful criminal justice system we have. Yes, let's legalize marijuana. 4 years ago, it was considered off the charts. Nobody was talking about holding police officers criminally responsible when they commit murder. Well, that is not such a radical idea. 4 years ago, bringing about real immigration reform was considered pretty radical. Not anymore. So the first point that I want to make is that because of what you and all of us have done at the grassroots level, standing up for working people, prepared to take on the political establishment, take on the economic establishment, fight for justice, whether it's economic, social, racial, environmental justice, we are winning the ideological struggle. And don't forget that for a second. Some people will try to tell you that's not the case. It certainly is the case. And most significantly, the younger generation, which in my view is the most progressive younger generation in history, is strongly supportive of what we are trying to do. Second of all, we are seeing a revolution in the type of people who are stepping up to run for office and represent their communities. Together, our movement is producing the next generation of leaders in our country. And I want you all to think about it. Think about it. We have people like Ilhan Omar, who just won a landslide victory. Rashida Tlaib, landslide victory. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, landslide victory against establishment candidates where an enormous amount of money was spent trying to defeat them. We elected Jamal Bowman. We elected Cori Bush. We elected Montea Jones. This is no small thing. We have taken on the establishment politically, elected some of the most progressive members to the United States Congress, got a couple of more seats out there where I think we have a shot to win. But it's not only congressional races, in legislatures all across the country, in New York State, in Pennsylvania, other states, big changes taking place in the legislature because progressives are winning. In terms of district attorneys, people say district attorneys, that's not a very sexy position. It is enormously important. If you're concerned about criminal justice, we're winning seats all over the country with district attorneys who are saying, you know what, my job as a district attorney is not simply to throw more people in jail. It's to understand the causation of crime. In fact, to lower the number of people who are in jail. That's a revolution. And you guys made that happen. And allow me to state the obvious, that the Democratic establishment has not exactly been recruiting bartenders, school principals, and Black Lives Matter activists to run for Congress. We have, and we have been supporting those candidates. So, bottom line is, I am extremely optimistic, and I'm optimistic because of the work that CPD and all of you are doing. You are standing up and fighting for justice. You know that climate change is very real. You know that we got to take on the fossil fuel industry, and that through a Green New Deal, we can create millions and millions of good paying jobs. So it seems to me that in this moment that we are in, we have two basic tasks in front of us. As you've heard Jennifer and Sarah say, we are now dealing with the most dangerous president maybe in the history of this country. And this is a president who is not only a pathological liar, he not only rejects science, whether it's climate change or the pandemic, attacks doctors and scientists. This is a president who is trying to undermine American democracy. Quite unbelievable, but true. And on top of that, he is a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and a xenophobe and a religious bigot. So you have no choice. We have no choice, because many of the victories that we have won will be in real jeopardy if this guy is reelected. So our job in the next 80 or so days is to do everything that we can to defeat Trump and elect Joe Biden. Do we have differences with Joe Biden? Believe you me, of course we do. And our job is, the day after Biden is elected, is to mobilize our people in the fight for a progressive agenda. And let me tell you something as a United States Senator. And that is, if we can elect Biden, if we can turn the US Senate Democratic, and there is a reasonable chance that we can do that, if we can retain Democratic control in the House, and there's a very strong chance that that will occur. If we can do that, there is a path open for us to really bring about transformative change in this country. Because these people Democratic leaders are going to have to listen. We are going to be in the room with them. And we can then move forward aggressively on all of the issues we care about. A corrupt political system, a rigged economy, raising the minimum wage to a living wage, making public colleges and universities tuition free, aggressive action against climate change through a Green New Deal, real criminal justice reform, real immigration reform, real gun safety legislation, protecting women's rights. We will have the power to make real change because we're going to be in the door. We're going to have a lot of strong support in Congress. And because of the work that all you guys are doing, we're going to have grassroots people saying, you know what, you made promises, and now you're going to carry out those promises. So my request to all of you is to do everything that you can in the next 80 or so days to make sure that Trump is defeated, that Biden and Kamala Harris are elected, that we elect Democrats to the Senate, to the House, to district attorney's office, to the state legislature. But the main point that I want to make is what Jennifer and Sarah also made, is that our job is not finished on election day. Day after election, we mobilize and we do everything in our power to finally create a government and an economy and an energy system that works for everybody, not just a handful of billionaires. And real change is not going to be easy. It surely is not, no matter who's in the House, who's in the Senate. We're taking on the most powerful people in the world, whose religion is greed, who want more and more billions, who could care less about kids who are hungry in America today. But we can do it. We can do it. So let's get going. Let's defeat Trump. Let's elect Biden. Let's elect some great candidates around the country. And the day after Biden is elected, let us mobilize our people to create the kind of government and America that we know we can become. So let me thank CPD and all of you who are involved in this effort. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Senator Sanders. Tonight's sponsoring organizations, People's Action, Our Revolution, Mi Gente, United We Dream, Black Voters Matter, Sunrise Movement, Roots Action, Seed the Vote, Generation Rising, and of course, the Working Families Party share in this vision, share in a vision where all of us have what we need. But sometimes that's not enough because this moment ain't easy for us. Us progressives, this is not an easy moment, and I want to acknowledge that for everyone. And when I feel stuck about the task at hand and what is needed, I have a political leader that I look to in Maurice Mitchell, the director of the Working Families Party. And so, Maurice, I just want to ask you, for those of us who feel conflicted, who feel stuck, who are trying to get where we need to be emotionally to lean into this moment the way our country needs, can you share with us how we get there?
Sure, and thank you so much, Jen. You know, last week, the Working Families Party endorsed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we announced it jointly with our friends at the Center for Popular Democracy Action. And I think it begs to ask why. You know, we endorse because we can't build the country we deserve unless we beat Donald Trump. Every day, Trump underscores the urgency of our mission. Thousands are dead because of his inaction on COVID-19, and millions more face joblessness and eviction. He's caged children and invaded cities, and he's already trying to preemptively disqualify the results of a lawful election. So we're going all out. We're going to talk to the voters Biden needs, and not just about our plan to defeat Trump, but also about our vision for an America that truly cares for everyone. You know, Bernie said it best minutes ago, just 4 years ago, so many ideas coming from the grassroots, rooted in working people's aspirations, were not seen as viable by some. So let's be clear. In this moment of crisis, voters are demanding bolder visions from their leaders. Guaranteed housing, wages and food, Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, a wealth tax, universal childcare, ending police violence and systemic racism against Black people. Politicians adapt to the political weather, but it's our job to create a political climate change. Our endorsement isn't a bet on Joe Biden or any politician. It's a bet on our movements. We can get there, and the path begins with beating Donald Trump. Let's get to work.